Hello, I'm John Tilley, and this is another in a series of videos regarding YMCA Camp Coniston and COVID modifications. It's less than 50 days to camp now. I'm getting excited to see your child making friends, and excited to see your child stretching and gaining in resilience after this incredible year we've just gone through. Today, I'll be speaking about vaccines, testing, and quarantine. The CDC recently announced that Americans aged 12 and up are approved to take the vaccine. This is exciting because we will not only have a fully vaccinated staff, we anticipate many campers also being vaccinated. In fact, I encourage you to have your camper vaccinated for one big camp reason. If a vaccinated camper is exposed to an active COVID case, they will not have to leave camp. Unvaccinated campers will have to quarantine if exposed to COVID, and that means returning home, while vaccinated campers will only need to have our nurses administer an antigen test. Getting children and staff into camp COVID-free is our top priority. That's why we're following New Hampshire guidelines and requiring 3 PCR tests and recommending a 4th. First, the requirements. Your child's first PCR test should be taken within 7 days of beginning camp. You can access a PCR test through a state lab or state site, your doctor, a local hospital, and even some pharmacies. We also anticipate widespread availability of a mail-in test kit from pharmacies like Walgreens by June, but I also advise you checking with your local pharmacist before the last minute to make certain that they're going to be accessible to you. You will need to arrive with this negative test result for your child to be admitted to their session. Now, the second PCR test will occur during check-in, and we plan on campers having their results as they move into cabins. Again, this is because we think beginning camp COVID-free is the most important precaution we can take to having a successful summer. This means check-in days will be different. 25 campers will be checked in every half hour. Your family will be given a time to arrive for your check-in day PCR test. Check-in days will be longer for staff, but actually shorter for you. We will email your family an arrival time and a test time at least a week before check-in begins. Now, a 3rd PCR test will be administered in the middle of each session by camp staff and an outside medical vendor. Any child who's positive will be sent home, and campers in their bubble will need to quarantine. Again, we encourage the vaccine if at all possible. And finally, I actually recommend you consider a 4th PCR test 14 days before camp. Now, many children in particular are asymptomatic when they have the virus. And if your child is positive 14 days before, they will actually be able to prove that they've quarantined for 14 days prior to camp and still come to camp. This test is simply one I'm recommending for your own peace of mind. Now, our next video will come to you in a couple of weeks. In the future, we will describe programs, check-ins, and what we're going to do with masks as the answers to those questions actually become clearer. So much is in the process of changing, it makes sense for us to wait just a little bit longer. Until then, have a wonderful Coniston day. I'll see you this summer.